Welcome to Digital Marketing This Week. It is August 2nd, 2014. Who has everybody had a wonderful week out there? Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick little pop-up. This is for anybody who's watching the webinar live and wants to ask a question on what we are going to be covering for this week for our focus topic. Of course, this whole series is brought to you by Seriously Simple Marketing over at seriouslysimplemarketing.com. Who am I? My name is Chris Mercer. I'm a content developer for Seriously Simple Marketing, as well as an optimization expert. Spend a lot of time in analytics and split testing and helping other successful entrepreneurs to improve their sales funnels. I'm, of course, your host for Digital Marketing This Week, and just call me Mercer. There's always another Chris in the room, so it's easier to go by Mercer. Now, this week's focus topic is all about WordPress SEO. So if you've got a WordPress site and you've always wondered, how do I improve my rankings of my blog or sales pages or maybe even squeeze pages, who knows? This could help you out. Now, if you have a question, and I'm hoping that you will, because we're going to do a kind of a fairly high-level view of this, but then we're going to be getting into some details. In fact, I figured it'd be kind of fun to show you exactly what we're doing and some of the posts that we have set up right now, specifically one that I believe is around SEO that isn't really, has got some actually a little bit of improvement that could be done when it comes to SEO. So I figured we just might as well kind of show you, what do they call that, going behind the kimono or taking off the kimono, something like that. So a peek behind the kimono, let's say, and we'll go ahead and improve SEO together. So if you have a question over anything that we're covering, and obviously other topics that may pop up, just go to ssm.tips/question, and you will be brought to a form where you can ask whatever question you like, and we'll go ahead and answer that after our focus topic. So let's jump into that. Now, that's all about WordPress SEO, and ideally this, of course, is improving your rankings when it comes to search engine results like Google and Bing. Now, we're going to cover our 5 things that help your SEO and that you need to make sure you're paying attention to, and then 2 things that can hurt it. So if you aren't paying attention to those, then these are a couple things that could hurt your SEO. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. The very first thing that I wanted to bring up, which seems kind of obvious, is keywords. That's thing number 1. Okay, so the first thing you need to focus on when it comes to your SEO is keywords. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up first is because I was actually speaking to somebody earlier in the week, and it's somebody we're helping out with analytics, and they were talking about keywords and how they had been told by somebody that keywords were sort of like a thing of the past. Like, you didn't really have to worry about keywords anymore. It's not how SEO works anymore. So when it comes to wondering what the keywords are and what you're ranking for, it's irrelevant. And the answer is that's just completely untrue. There have been articles that have been written about how keywords have sort of dropped in importance because of all these other things like social factors that we're going to get into in just a few minutes. But at the end of the day, keywords are basically more important than ever. And the big reason that really nobody speaks about, but the big reason is because of an update that Google did, I guess it's about a year ago now, and it's on something called Hummingbird. It was our update called Hummingbird. Now, the reason you may not have heard much about Hummingbird is because it didn't really affect SEO. It wasn't something that affected people's rankings, and it was more of like, oh yeah, they did Google Hummingbird, and then it kind of went away. So, whereas things like Panda and Penguin you hear about all the time because they affect the SEO rankings of the actual search results. But Hummingbird really didn't. What Hummingbird did, though, was radically change how Google processed search results. And this is really, really important because Google's realized, as I'm sure you will also agree, people are searching differently now. It used to be before you type in like WordPress plugin SEO. And now people search for things like, what is the best WordPress SEO plugin? And more importantly, they're speaking those words into their phones. Okay, so when you're asking Siri for assistance, or when you're asking Google for assistance, if you use something like Google Now, people are speaking more and more and more, and they will continue to do that. That's going to be behavior that's going to continue to do that. Google's actually making it a lot easier because you can do that on desktops now, where you can actually speak your search instead of typing things in. And what will happen is, as that becomes easier and easier and easier, Google's got to figure out what you're looking for, right? And there's a lot more words to go through. So what happens is, the difference between short tail and long tail. Now, if you're not familiar, short tail basically means just a word or two. So WordPress SEO plugin versus what is the best WordPress SEO plugin. What is the best SEO WordPress plugin would be a long tail keyword phrase. And if you're trying to rank, what you want to do is you want to rank for long tail keyword phrases. And you're not going to get a million people who are searching for that long tail keyword phrase, and a million people aren't going to come through to your site on that one particular long tail keyword phrase, but that's not your goal. Your goal is to do it for a whole bunch of pages, a whole bunch of pages that are focused on long tail keyword. And so as you go through and you're focused on long tail keyword pages, and you've got hundreds and hundreds of these because you're consistently doing it with your SEO, what happens is the overall authority of your site grows because Google starts realizing, wow, people are typing in these phrases like, what is the #1 SEO WordPress plugin? And they're coming to this page and they're liking it, they're enjoying the content, they're clicking through and downloading the plugin or watching the video review or whatever it is, but they're spending time on the page, therefore it's good content, and those people that I've recommended to that page, they love me, right? They love me as Google, and they're going to come back and they're going to keep using me, because if they keep using Google, Google's happy. That's what Google wants. Google is kind of like your best friend. They want to just know that when they recommend something to you, that you appreciate them and you will come back and ask for more recommendations. If they start recommending things to you that are not relevant, you're going to stop using them. There's always another source out there, and Google knows that. They're petrified of that because their entire business is built around this. So they're going to do whatever they can to protect it. And if you can focus on long tail, because people are going to start searching more and more, they already are, but they're going to start searching more and more for long tail keyword phrases, and you start matching those perfectly, your quality scores are going to go up, Google's going to start pushing you up in the rankings, and things will be very, very nice for you. Now, placement also matters as to where these keywords are. And for this, give me just a second. I'm going to go ahead and log into our own Seriously Simple Marketing blog site. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you sort of what I mean, because you're going to hear a lot. If you're just starting out, sometimes it get confusing. Somebody will say, like, oh, make it in the header tag, and you've got to do this, that, and the other thing, and maybe in the paragraph text. And a lot of this times you can just sort of see, like, I have no idea. I'm not really sure. But WordPress makes it really, really easy to rank. So what I'm going to do here is bring this over. Okay, so we're looking at the back end. This is the WordPress dashboard of the Seriously Simple Marketing blog. And what I want to do is I'm going to go into our posts. And let's come down here. This is the one I said we're going to improve together. I know I did a post on SEO not too long ago. How to create the perfect SEO article. That was it. Okay, so let's take a look at this. All right, so here is how to create the perfect SEO article. So let's say we were trying to go for the keyword phrase of how to create the perfect SEO article. This right here, when somebody says you got to make it part of your H1 tag or your header tag, this is kind of what they're talking about. So the H1 tag, this is your title. That's all you need to do. Make sure that the keyword phrase that you're going for, okay, that long tail keyword phrase, is in the title of your blog post. That's pretty much it. So if I was trying to rank for how to create the perfect SEO article as a keyword phrase, this is what I would put in there. Notice down here too, you've got create perfect SEO article. I probably could make that better by doing how-to create the perfect SEO article. Because we have a lot of links going to this page, I'm not going to change that, but it's probably something we should do. Now, it used to be, and this is again where it goes back to people that say, oh, keywords aren't as important anymore, because it used to be that you could just put in perfect SEO, right? Let's say I was trying to rank for that phrase, and I was doing perfect SEO, and I would do perfect SEO here, perfect SEO here, perfect SEO about 700 times in the article, and it would read weird. You would read it and be like, this doesn't make any sense, but Google's recommending it because there's all these keywords that say perfect SEO, therefore Google's thinking it's perfect SEO, and that's why Google started changing their things, because they realized, oh, people are trying to game the system, but keywords are still important. So the other thing that we need to look at and again, this comes down to the keyword placement, is so I've got my phrase, create the perfect SEO article. I've got create perfect SEO article here. Now the other thing that we could do better is right in this first little part here, okay? Right in the first couple of paragraphs, there should be something that mentions creating the perfect SEO article. That would make it better. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, and I'm going to do a variation. So I'm a big fan of writing for humans, not for robots. Okay, so you need to think like a bot, and you need to understand their language, but you don't need to write for them. You need to write for humans, because obviously humans are who are actually reading your content. So I can say for many users, creating the perfect SEO article can be a challenge. And I can just do something like that. And we'll just tie it in and say that. So, and through the years, Google, I think, has been the, which it is, Google's definitely the velvet rope for everything under the web. So, and that's because search engine optimization. So now this sort of still kind of rules, makes sense, and we've got perfect SEO article in there. Now the other thing that I will sometimes do is put down here in the very bottom, we'll talk about kind of in the summary section. So we've got creating your perfect SEO article in there. Okay, so now this is something where you've got some keywords that are in there. It's kind of at the top, it's in the bottom, and it's in the, scroll up here, it's in the top, it's in the bottom, it's in the body of the text. So you've got it in the header, You've got it in your URL. So this is just to the point where it's like, okay, the bots can now see this. All the Google Spider bots can see this as they're crawling the website and looking for what this page is about. So it's pretty obvious this is what I'm going for. The content reads for humans, and it's in there. Now, the other thing to look at, and this again goes back to keywords. This is something that a lot of people won't talk about, and we probably have messed up here as well. So let's see. So we've got our images, right? So here's our images, and we're missing the boat here. So we typed in SEO marketing, which is fine because that's kind of what the image says, right? But this is really about creating the perfect SEO article. So we can do how to create the perfect SEO article. And remember, we're also putting the dashes in for spaces because this is just how we want to see the robots as they come through and see it. So how to create the perfect SEO article. I could also put a caption. Now the caption will actually show on the page itself, so I'm not going to do that. But what the alt text is, with this alternative text, they call it the alt text, this is for when, and the original purpose of this was for when people with disabilities, so somebody was blind, for example, would come through here, they could still kind of quote unquote read the site because they're hearing it, right? So they've got the machinery and utilities that are going through the web pages and they're reading them the pages. It would come across an image and talk about what that image is. So how to create the perfect SEO article is what this image is about. So that's why we're putting this in there, and of course that's what the bots will also see. So there's a very important place where you can update your images. So same thing here, and this is where we talk about placement, okay? So I'm going to do the same thing. Oops, I'm going to click on edit. We're going to take a look at our images tags. So look at that. That's horrible. Blog page 152 KB. What does that mean? Like, how did we let that happen? And so this is very important. You want to go through, check your images, and we're going to say placement matters when creating the perfect SEO article. Okay, so I've got my keyword phrase in there, something a little different, which is important because it can't be always the same thing over and over and over again. And instead of create, I've got creating. Okay, Google's pretty smart. They know that there's variations of words, and they would expect that as humans, we wouldn't always just say create, create, create. We might say creating, or if you've created the perfect SEO article, and you'll say stuff like that. So they realize that, and they have definitely kept that in mind when they go through, and especially with these Hummingbird updates that they did. Okay, so there's keywords, keyword placement. You can kind of see how we've been able to improve it already just on this page because of our keyword placement and checking on images. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip back. That's all about keywords. And again, any questions you have, just go to the ssm.tips/question and we can dig into them. Thing number two here. Thing number two is all about links. Okay, now this is the other big thing. Everyone talks about links. Now, these, very, very important. These can absolutely hurt you. Now, this is not one of those things we're going to talk about, the two things that can hurt you. This is kind of like a bonus thing, but you got to keep in mind, links can hurt you. If you live by the link, you will die by the link. And this is what I mean by that, is because as marketers, as a species, right, online marketers tend to try to get away with as much as they possibly can until they can't. One of the things that they try to get away with, or used to, back in the old SEO days, was in creating as many links as possible because they figured out, oh, okay, well, Google, instead of just using keywords, Google uses links, and links are kind of like recommendations. So if I get a bunch of people to recommend my site by linking back to it or creating what they call backlinks, then I'm going to be more popular in the rankings, and it worked. And so then people started going, great, I'm going to pay people to do this, and it worked. And then it was like, great, it doesn't matter if it's a Chinese food delivery in a flower shop, and then actually JCPenney got dinged for this. It was a famous story a couple of years back that even this JCPenney succumbed to this by hiring an SEO agency that did stuff like this. But it didn't matter. They had all these hundreds of completely irrelevant sites, had nothing to do with the actual topic of, let's say, in this case it was JCPenney. They had flower shops and Chinese food delivery, just whatever else. All these other shops that had nothing to do with JCPenney at all, linking back to JCPenney pages so that JCPenney could rise in the rankings. Well, when Google came out with their update, and this is back in the days of Panda and Penguin, right? This is what it was going after. It was going after this. If you're just linking and you're linking for the sake of linking, but they're not relevant links, then those links are going to hurt you. So if the Chinese food delivery is linking back to you, and there's no real reason for it, like if there's a reason, like if this Chinese food delivery happened to have a blog that said, hey, we just found this really great WordPress site, and we just created our own WordPress site, and we thought you should check it out, and here's some marketing. Like that would be a somewhat relevant, right? So that's okay. But if there's a whole bunch of sites that are doing that, that's kind of fishy. Google starts going, okay, well, that's just a bunch of paid sites. that are linking back, and so it's going to hurt you. So when it comes to your linking, the source of who's linking back to you matters. Now this is something else. So then the evolution of SEO, they said, okay, well that's fine. The source matters. So what we're going to do is we're going to do guest blog posts, and I'm going to write a blog post on somebody else's blog, and then I'm going to link back to my blog. So that gives me a link from an authority site, from a more popular blog, back to my blog. And then all of a sudden Google came out and said, okay, well we can't use those either. We don't really like that. And the reason they don't like that is basically people started paying for it. And it is a violation of Google's terms of service whenever you pay for a link. So if you're paying for links, if they're natural links, if I just did it because I liked your stuff and I link back to it, totally cool. If you pay me $1 to do it, uncool. That's where Google's going, okay, wait a second, there's something fishy going on. You can't ever pay for links. It's a violation of Google's terms of service. If they find out you're going to do it or that you did do it, you're going to suffer. So the source matters. So basically, what you can do, you can still do things like guest blog posts, and they will still help you. But again, Google's kind of looking at that, kind of going, there's a lot of people gaming the system, so we don't really like that. What they really want are you creating shareable content that people enjoy linking to. And that's kind of why we build our posts like we do. Like we, on our, even our SEO posts, we've got links going out to other posts or other resources that we think are useful, because we think they're useful and we're recommending them. And it is genuine. It's a genuine sort of like, hey, go check out this place because this place is really cool. And as long as we're doing that, Google's going, okay, well, they seem to be all about online marketing and WordPress and SEO and Google Analytics. And so people that are searching for that topic, I can recommend this site to them. And they're also recommending all these other sites. So those sites are probably also pretty good. And then everybody sort of starts helping everybody raise in the rankings, which is kind of what you want. So keep that in mind. Now the mix also matters. And this is what I mean by the mix. If somebody always linked to, we've got an analytics course, Seriously Simple Analytics. So if they always linked, and what I mean by that is the hyperlinked part. So let me just bring this back up. Let's take a look at some of these links here. There we go. Okay, here's where we were. So I'm just going to click in here. Now this is where we've got, again, google.com. This is the tool, so the little keyword planner tool that we have. And then what we've got is we have it hyperlinked to the phrase Google's AdWords Keyword Planner. We could also say, check out this great keyword tool, and we could hyperlink keyword tool. And that would be perfectly normal. You'd expect that. People aren't always going to link to this and call it Google's AdWords Keyword Planner. And if they did do that, it would be fishy. Google would realize, wait a second, everybody's hyperlinking this exact phrase. That's weird. That's because somebody paid them to do that. That's what they're going to assume. And so the mix matters. So when people are linking back to you, and if they're natural, if people are naturally linking back to your stuff, back to your particular site or post, it's because people are naturally going to want to create, they're not going to know what the keyword phrase is that you're going for, right? They're just going to say, oh, here's a really great post on how to create WordPress SEO articles. Or they might say, here's a really great way to improve your SEO rankings. Or here's a really great way to improve your search rankings. And maybe search rankings would be hyperlinked to go back to this particular post. So all of these different styles, the mix that's created, they might just go, hey, go check out SeriouslySimpleMarketing.com, and then Seriously Simple Marketing might be hyperlinked back to this particular blog post. But the point is there's going to be a mix, and if it's natural, organic links back to your site, that mix will automatically exist. There's nothing you have to worry about. But if you're kind of manicuring your links a little bit and you're getting people to link back in certain ways, you got to make sure that that mix is there, because otherwise if Google again sees that everything says create the perfect SEO article and all keyword phrases of create the perfect SEO article are all hyperlinked to go back to this page, it's going to look fishy. Google's going to go, wait a second, there's something going on here. Let's just investigate. And let's face it, you don't want Google investigating you at all, because that will normally lead you to going down into the rankings. All right, thing number 3, this is sitemaps. So sitemaps are very important, and let me see here. For those who don't know, basically it is what it is. It's a map of your site, and it's made specifically in a format so that when Google's spider bots go through the site, and Bing and Yahoo and all the other search engines, when they go through your site, it's basically they go to your site and it's like a directory. The site goes, okay, well here's how I'm laid out. Here are the different pages. Here's how everything connects to one another, and then Google automatically takes that information and can start storing it in its own servers and build up information about what your site is all about. So let me see if I can just show you mine. And I believe it is going to be here. I'm totally guessing at this. I didn't do this offhand. Here we go. Perfect. So this is the sitemap. Now, we use a plugin that generates this, and we'll get into that in a little bit too, because it is a wonderful plugin. But this is the sitemap. So we've got our post sitemap, we've got a page sitemap, and I'll show you kind of what these look like. So when the spider bots come through, they go, oh, okay, well, here's a sitemap, and this is for all the different WordPress posts. So here's all the different posts, number of images that are on it, the frequency, and it connects all the dots. Here's the page sitemap, here's category, here's the author sitemap, here's all the videos that we have on it. So it's basically organizing everything specifically for Google so that Google can come through and know where everything is and it doesn't have to guess. And the less guessing that Google does, the better it is for you. So that's why it's very, very important to have a Google site or to have a sitemap. And again, sitemap is very, very easy to install. Very, very easy. And if you use the WordPress SEO plugin that we'll show you here in just a second, it's a free plugin and it'll do it for you. So that's super easy. But there are also plugins that we've used in the past that just do sitemaps. But to be honest, Yoast's plugin is so good that we just do that. Okay, thing number 4, social activity. So this is how engaging is your content. Google's always looking at this, and this doesn't mean just Facebook. Okay, think social networks like YouTube. I know you don't often think of YouTube as a social network, but it is absolutely a social network, just a video network. Like Pinterest is for images, Google is for video. So you want to make sure that you're getting engagement on as many different networks as you can. This requires you to actually go and participate. So normally, the best way to do this, especially if you're just starting out, is to pick the one that you like the most. So if it's Facebook, awesome. Then you go and you do Facebook and you spend some time on Facebook and you're sharing your blog posts out to the world on Facebook. Ideally, it's you doing it and you're not using a tool like Buffer. We love Buffer. Buffer is basically just an automated way. Hootsuite also does this. It's an automated way of automatically posting from your blog to your actual web page or a fan page if you got a fan page, or just to your own account on Facebook if you're doing that way. But the problem with those third-party software sort of utilities that do that is it's very easy to tell that those did that because it says posted by Buffer or posted by Hootsuite, and you can see that in the actual text. Well, Facebook sees that as well, and because Facebook can see it, those algorithms go, okay, well, this is just a machine posting. It wasn't a real person. Therefore, we're going to push it way down in the bottom of the priority list to show people, and it does. So when you do it, because Facebook basically wants to reward you as a human to logging in and using your own Facebook account, they're going to more than likely post it higher. They're going to rank it higher, so more people will see your post if you're the one actually posting it. Now, comments also count. So this is something where if you have a blog post, and we've been building a list for a little while, which is good. We're at the stage now where we're finally going to start emailing people saying, hey, go check out this blog post we just wrote about SEO. And then you can get people reading it and commenting on it and engaging with it. This is important because if people are doing that and they're spending time with it, Google's going to notice that. And if Google notices that, they go, okay, well, it seems on this, from an overall quality score about creating the perfect SEO article, people are engaging. They're sharing it on Facebook. We notice people posting it on LinkedIn. Looks like there's discussions happening there. And it starts sort of extrapolating all this different stuff that's going on. And it goes, okay, well, I guess the quality should be a little bit higher. It starts nudging up even higher. And you get higher and higher in the rankings. Engagement, okay, that's what causes all that. Now, thing number 5, authorship. Very incredibly important, often overlooked thing that we call authorship. So what this is all about is raising what they call the quality score. And I'm going to show you exactly how this works. It is absolutely free, but this does require Google+. All right, so let's give me just a second here to pull this up. Okay, so I'm going to go, in fact, I'm just going to do this. We're going to go to our friend Google. I'm going to type in authorship. And you're going to see Google authorship. So here's how this works. If you literally just go here, okay, now you'll notice, very important word right there, plus, this is all Google+. This is Google Plus's social network. This is incredibly important, okay? You want to do this. And the reason that you want to do this, in fact, let me back out and I'll show you another right in here. The reason you want to do this is because it is a way to claim your content. And this is important because whether or not you notice it or not, people will, they're going to take your content. It's going to happen. You're going to have little robots that come through and they scrape all of your, it's called scrapers. They scrape your blog post and they recreate those blog posts as their own someplace else on another blog. And maybe they run it through what they call article spinners, which changes a few words and replaces a few things. And that's how all this kind of crap content gets out there on the internet. So original people create the content, and then article spinners go through and sort of rework it and mix up words here and there so it looks different to a robot, to a Google robot. And they kind of do this over and over again, and eventually what will happen is you'll get dinged because Google won't know that you're the one who originally did it unless you do this. So Google authorship, it's claiming your space, and basically what you're doing is you're creating a Google Plus profile, which more than likely you already have, and if you have a Gmail account or any other Google account, if you use YouTube, anything Google, you already have an account. And all you're going to do is you're going to link your content to this account. So you've got your sort of home base on Google, which is essentially Google Plus. That's what it is. It's the Google profile. And you're going to say, okay, so this is who I am, and you verified that through phone numbers and whatever else Google has you do that shows that you're a real human being and you are who you say you are. And then what you're going to do is you're going to link your blog post back to your Google Plus profile. And let me show you what that looks like. So let's see. So we're going to go ahead and click update this. We're going to view that post. I'm going to show you what we have. And this is at the bottom of all of our blogs, because every single post that we do that we create as content, we have this down here. So we're going to scroll down. You see this little more about Mercer. Now Mercer is hyperlinked. So that goes to the author page. Okay, you see here, so this is all about Mercer. So basically this is just a category page for everything that I've written on the blog or produced on the blog. Now from here, you've got Google Plus profile. And that's what will take you into the Google Plus end. And that's my personal page. This is who I am. And so you've got my page connected directly to my blog, and that's how Google knows that it's me, because I've connected all the dots. Now, this isn't just through hyperlinks. This is because I've actually done things behind the scenes that are required, what they call rel tags, that are it's actually done in the code, where you tell Google, so that, again, not just hyperlinks, you could not duplicate what I just did. You can't duplicate it because I have to do things on the Google Plus end that show, okay, here's what exactly is connected. And yes, I agree, I am the author of this content, and that this is a site that I write for. And you do all that stuff on the back end. So only you can do that, and that's what's important, because Google knows if I say this is from me, Google goes, okay, this is original content from me. So if it shows up someplace else, that somebody else is claiming that content, if Google happens to look at that and go, oh, wait a second, I wonder who created it, it's going to give me the author content, which means it's actually going to raise me in the rankings, because Google's going to go, hey, well, he's the one producing it. They're copying it. Therefore, it must be worth copying. So there's something to there. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we're going to jump back into, got a real quick question in the chat group, and that was with Grant asking if there's a reason that the screenshots they're showing are out of focus. There should not be. They are in focus for me. And they show in focus for me on the preview, so I apologize for that. I do not know what's causing that, unfortunately, Grant. I wish I did, or I would tell you, but they should be in focus. The only thing I think of is maybe there's just a bandwidth issue, and it's catching up. Sometimes things will go out of focus with a Hangout or YouTube or video when it's trying to kind of get clear again. But if they don't come back, rest assured everything looks crystal clear on this end, and there will be a replay, as always. So we've got that recording as well. Okay, so that's sort of what authorship is all about. Now, fortunately, again, there's a plugin that can help you out with that, and I will show you that in just a second too. Now, there are two things to watch out for. These are the two things that can absolutely hurt you if you are not paying attention. One is what we talked about, duplicate content. This can hurt you for a number of different ways, and this is something, again, I'm going to go back and show you our blog here. So I'm going to edit this post. Let's see here, go back to the dashboard. One of the ways that WordPress kind of hurts you a little bit is in this. And we just recently started doing this. In fact, I'm going to edit this now and change it, because I've been talking with a lot of SEO experts, and there's a couple of things here on WordPress that you'll notice that show up on posts. This is categories and tags. Now, categories are a way to organize your content. So if I have a category page of SEO, then everything that relates to SEO would automatically show there, which is awesome. The other thing that shows here is tags. Now, you're going to notice we've got a tag right now for a perfect SEO article. what happens though with WordPress is that it actually will go through and it will create a page that is a URL of perfect SEO article, which essentially is that tag, and that's because it wants to be found. It's tagging that content. And so if people do a search for perfect SEO article, it's going to be tagged under that post. What happens is really it's a duplicate post. It's exactly the same content, but it's going to look like I have two different posts on my WordPress site. And so that's why we started doing that, just not even using tags anymore. And the more people that I talk to about WordPress SEO, they're just, the trend is to not use tags anymore. So we've actually started going back and deleting those. So there's a little tip for you. Now I used to do tags all the time and I had like 8 tags on there. But again, every tag that you create seems to really raise the possibility of duplicate content. And before, it wasn't that big of a deal because Google didn't care. It wasn't a thing. But now that Google has really started clamping down on that, then all of a sudden it does matter. And so people have just started not using tags as much, if at all. So if you don't use the tags, I don't think you're really going to have much of a problem with that. So we're going to go ahead and update that so it's clear. And then the other thing on duplicate content is doing enhanced content, and you'll see that we do that. So we've got this other content. I'm going to switch back here, and you probably saw this when we actually did the post itself. So we've got images, so that's an enhanced content, right? So we've actually created images for this, and you could use traditional, we use, sometimes we'll repurpose other people's images instead of creating our own, because that's sometimes just a whole lot easier, especially if we're referencing other web pages. But more importantly is right down here. So we've got a video that we've done. Actually, we made slides first of the basics of what this is all about. Okay, so we've got these slides. So this is enhanced content. It's technically the same topic, right? So it's kind of the same, but it's different. It's enhanced. So we've got slides that are created. Then we went through and we created a video using those slides. And sometimes, just like I do in this webinar, we'll flip back into a real screen and show stuff or do a little demonstration. That's why it's 18 minutes. So it's not just a really quick me reading the slides. There's actually some content there. So this is enhanced. So I've got links now from SlideShare. I've got links coming back in from YouTube. I've got engagement on both of those things that are being measured. They're all pointing back to this URL, which is, again, what you're ranking for. And I didn't mention this, but when you think about SEO, and this was the biggest lesson I ever learned in my entire life when it came to online marketing, is when it finally made it through my thick skull that when it comes to SEO, I should never, ever mention the word like, how do I raise my site's ranking? You don't. You can't. It's impossible. What you focus on is you raise the ranking of this URL, and that's how you think. You think in terms of individual pages, individual posts, individual URLs. That's what you think about. And you go, what is this URL telling Google? What is this URL's engagement? What is this URL, what is the share rate for this URL? What is the social happenings for this URL? How is this URL doing? That's all you care about. And if you keep doing that for all the different URLs, that's what raises your site's overall profile. That's what gives your site, your domain, in this case, SeriouslySimpleMarketing.com, that's what gives the domain the authority, as well as normal stuff like being around for a while. Like right now, our domain hasn't been around for a long time, but as it gets around 5, 10, 15 years, it's going to obviously have a ton of authority behind it just because it's existed for so long. Google will also give that some credence. Okay, so I hope that sort of helped with the duplicate content issue. The other thing is that you want to, and this is again something that can hurt you, is if you need to think like a bot. Okay, remember now spider bots, they call them. They crawl the web, and these are sent out by Google and all the other search engines to find out kind of what's there and to report back to their masters so they can log everything and then rank everything when we go and search for it as users. So there's 2 things that a bot can see, and this is what I mean by when you're talking about bot judgment. Okay, bounce rate and time on page. These are things that you will see in your Google Analytics profiles. Okay, so you've got bounce rate and time on page. And let me see here. Let me jump into analytics. I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. And then if you don't have analytics set up, it's something you're going to want to do. That's all I can say about that. You need to have analytics set up. Okay, so I'm going to bring this over, and we're going to go to, this is the website for WP training videos. I'm just going to dive into site content, all pages. And what we're going to look for, so this is our blog, right? So I'm looking for average time on page. This is time on page metric. So I've got difference between page and post, 15 minutes. I've got 4 minutes here for a cpanel tour. The homepage, people spend about 3 minutes on. Let's see, setup video. So how to make one of a WordPress blog, people spend a couple of minutes on. So I've got some time there. The other thing you look for is bounce rate. So bounce rates. So 77% of the people, 87% of the people, 66% of the people. These are technically they're a little too high. Now this blog really hasn't been updated in years, so there's definitely some improvement that we can do here. But what this means is bounce rate is how many people come to this post. In this case, Making Money with WordPress blog. They come from Google, they find it from YouTube, or wherever they see it. They come to the post and they bounce off. They don't take any additional action. Okay, so they just leave. They might hit the back button, they might be going to a different site or typing something else or just closing the browser. That's what that means. The lower the bounce rate, the better it is, because Google goes, okay, well, if the bounce rate on this page is low, because remember, this is Google Analytics. This is Google seeing exactly what's happening on my pages. So Google knows that 87% of the people are bouncing off. So it's not going to recommend it as highly as if only 20% of the people were bouncing off, because it would go, well, hey, you know what, 80%, if the bounce rate was 20%, that would basically mean that 80% of the people really like this content and engaged with it in some way, shape, or form. Therefore, I should take that as a vote for quality content. That's how Google's going to read that. And same thing here on time on page. The more time they spend, the better it's going to be. Okay. So now, if you know that time on page is important, and if you know that bounce rate, having a low bounce rate is important, what can you do on your blogs to actually make sure that those are getting engagement? I'll show you here. You can do stuff like putting in slide shares to interact with them. You can do stuff like watching videos that are 18 minutes long, and you can embed that, because that means time on page is going to be large here. Now, the other thing that we could do, now you can blog posts, so we've got recent articles. So if they click through to any of these other articles here, okay, if you're on this page and click through any of these articles here, the bounce rate for you would show a 0 bounce rate. You would not be bouncing off the page. You'd be going and interacting with additional content. If you actually go here, and this can theoretically hurt us, if you go to any of these pages, these actually would show as a bounce. So even though you're technically interested in the content, you're going to an external site. And so that would actually cause a little bit of a higher bounce rate. But there are things that you can do with Google Analytics, what they call event tracking, that would actually tell analytics that, you know what, this really wasn't a bounce. They were engaging with the link that we told them to engage with. Therefore, it's a vote that we're providing good quality content. So there are different things that you can do. And of course, at the end of the day, it comes down to creating engaging content. So the more about Mercer would show, if they click on Mercer, it's not a bounce. If they're engaging with comments, it wouldn't be a bounce. It's things like that. If they're clicking on any of these down here, not a bounce. So the more places that you have for them to click on through to different parts of your site, if you did a call to action, like we could do better here by doing a call to action for an opt-in down here instead of just having the one that's way up here. In fact, we do that with, let me just pop back in here. We do that with our digital marketing this week. And of course, these are the edited ones that don't include the live Q&A. But at the bottom here, you've got little opt-ins that we say, hey, if you've got a question, you join the insiders, because then you can join us live or on the replay, and you can actually ask questions and become a little more involved. So there's a way for people to actually not bounce through. So all sorts of fun stuff that you can do when it comes to that. But you want to think like a bot. How does a bot view this? And is it useful for a human? So it's kind of, you're always balancing those two things. All right, so now let's talk about some tools, some of the trips and or trends and tips that we've seen out there. First is the plugins that we use. Now I've already alluded to a couple of these, so let me go ahead and show them to you. The very first one is WordPress. So WordPress SEO by Yoast. Okay, that's what this one is here. Now this one's pretty cool, because what happens is, let's say I wanted to type in, now this little focus keyword doesn't do anything. This is just something that Yoast uses to judge itself. So I would type in, if I wanted to do rank for digital marketing this week, okay, would be the phrase that we want to rank for. Then all of a sudden it goes through and says, okay, well, based on what I see, here's all the different stuff. It looks like all that's in there. Okay, so it's saying that I've passed everything. You go through here. Again, this is a free plugin, where we use the free version. There is a premium version that comes with some support if you need it, but the free version is great. So we come down here and we go, okay, page analysis. So actually, you know what? I take that back, because we didn't have the focus keyword set. That's why that wasn't working. The only thing that some of this other stuff here, this is for those of you who are more advanced. You can basically adjust anything you want. So if you wanted a particular post to not be indexed, then you could just change that here. So if you didn't want it in the search engine, sometimes if you have 6 or 7 different versions of a page because you're split testing, you don't want all of them indexed, because it would show like duplicate content. So that's where you could turn that stuff off there. There's one thing that we added. Now again, WordPress SEO is free, but the video SEO, and this is what this does, where it shows this little video snippet here, This is not free. This was actually a paid plugin, and that's what does all this stuff here. So this sort of gets added in. So we did pay for this. The good news is for you is now Google doesn't seem to be doing video snippets anymore. This was recent. They actually stopped doing this. So before, what they call rich snippets, which is what includes things like this, or you'd see like author pictures and things like that, Google stopped doing this. So even though it shows it in the current incarnation here, if Google was to do it, it would show this. Google doesn't do that anymore, so it just looks like a regular post. So I don't think you really have to worry about adding the video SEO plugin at all, at least not at this point, until Google changes something back. But it is a really, really good idea just to use, again, WordPress SEO by Yoast. Really easy program to use, plugin to use, I should say, and basically takes care of everything you need. Let me just go back into here to go to SEO. There's lots of stuff. Again, we talked about XML sitemaps. It does all that for you. You can see down here. Creates RSS feeds for you. It just really takes very little to set up, even though there's a lot here. But for the most part, again, they have a little tour area. This is what I like about Yoast. Yoast is a developer who's getting paid for his plugin because he offers this amazing free product, but he has these upgrades to premium. There's another one that's out there called All-in-One SEO. If you're using that, I would just be aware. I used to use this one, All-in-One SEO. I'm going to type in the word security here. So not too long ago, you'll see this was May 31st. All-in-One SEO was a plugin I used to use, and I stopped using them probably a couple of years back when I started using Yoast more and more. And this was another free one too. Yoast and this one were all free. This one actually became had a big security hack that came through, and the problem is the developer on this particular one, even though he has a paid version, was very quiet, didn't really address the security issue very much, and that just sort of tweaked out a lot of people. So if you're not familiar with this and you are using All-in-One SEO pack, I would say that you make an immediate move as quickly as possible to WordPress, to Yoast, and there is an import-export feature, so you can sort of import settings from All-in-One. You just say import from All-in-One SEO, it'll automatically pull all your settings in, so it's easy to migrate. And again, it's free, but there's a paid version. That even though I'm not, I actually paid for his videos, for the not for the videos, for the video SEO portion of this back when Google was still doing it, so he made a little bit of money off me, which is fine because it's a good product. But I haven't paid him for the free version, but I use the free version because I know other people are paying him to develop, and they use his support, which means he's making a living off of it. He's going to support it back, and that's the thing with a lot of these free plugins. You know they're going to be around, but you don't know how long they're going to be around. And with this one, when anything's got a paid version to it, I just like it that much more because it just, it makes sense. These people are not going to do this out of the kindness of their heart forever. They might do it because it's a fun project for 6 months, and then they abandon it. But I'd much rather have a guy who's making his living off of it and has a company built around it, because there's more than likely it's going to exist 2 years from now. And in fact, be even better because he's going to constantly improve it, which is what's happened with the WordPress SEO by Yoast plugin. So again, highly recommended. I'm not going to get into too much detail of it because there's a lot there, but suffice it to say, you don't have to get into the details. You can just set it up, go through the dashboard, just type in your blog name, and at least that will get you started. And then you can just do a little bit more each day to make it a little bit better. Now, the other one I wanted to show you that was a plugin, it was something called authorship, which is this one. So authorship, okay? And let me just show you where both of these are. So WordPress.org, our favorite site for WordPress stuff. We're just going to go where it says plugins, and then all you need to do is just type in WordPress SEO, and there's WordPress SEO by Yoast. You can see here again, so 4.7 out of 5 stars, 11, almost 12 million downloads, hugely popular, and just getting better and better. So this one, totally recommend. The other one that I was just showing you was called authorship, right here. This one, again, a little over 100,000. This one also updated recently, which is another thing you look for when it comes to plugins. Compatible up to 3.91, which is the most recent version of WordPress, at least till later on this month when 4.0 comes out. But you've got, what this does is it automatically does Google authorship verification. This is that process I was telling you about in the back end, where you have to do all this little code stuff, which this little rel author, rel me, rel publisher, this may not mean anything to you. It doesn't have to mean anything to you. All you need to do is set it up through here, and you fill in the settings through authorship, and then authorship will actually go through, you put in your Google Plus profile, the different pages that you've set up for your company, you tell it what you want it to look like and what social networks you want to set up, and then save changes, and then that's it. And then it automatically will go through and creates that little box, that author box that said more about Mercer, puts my photo there, puts a little description there, and it links everything in the right order so that Google can tell, oh, okay, Chris Mercer wrote this. This is him saying this is his content. Therefore, it's original content. I should rank it higher because he's claiming authorship. And that is huge. I cannot emphasize how huge that is. Now, there have been recent articles in the last, even the last couple of weeks that have talked about how authorship is kind of going away in importance because Google doesn't print pictures anymore. It used to be they would put pictures, you know, we talked about this with the little video snippets. They don't do video snippets anymore. They don't do author pics anymore. And according to Google, it's because people weren't clicking on the ads enough. Maybe not. I'm sure there's some other reason for that technically, but at the end of the day, they still, if they know that information, it's still information that they would have about you that they would not have about another site. And if they know that you're the one creating the content, they're going to rank you higher. They just will. So a very important concept to focus on and make sure that you're aware of is Google authorship, and just don't discount Google Plus. You got to be on Google Plus. Make sure you're posting your stuff on Google Plus, because again, that is, even though nobody really is going to read it. I mean, there's some, don't get me wrong. People that use Google Plus, there's a lot of techies, and there's a crowd on there, but it's a very engaged crowd, but unique from what would be on like Facebook or LinkedIn. But that's your direct pipeline into Google. That is, if you post on Facebook, Google doesn't necessarily know you posted on Facebook. It'll know that somebody maybe clicked on a link and came from Facebook, but it doesn't know that you posted. But when you post on Google Plus, it knows that you posted. It knows everything everyone's saying on it, and even if nobody ever clicks your link, it can tell all the engagement that's happening around it. And it's incredibly important that you take care of that. So those are those two plugins, so the Author Store and the WordPress by Yoast. The other couple of things I wanted to make you aware of, just in news items, there was a new update that came through that you might be hearing about, probably not too much, because again, it doesn't affect rankings all that much unless you're local. This one they are calling the Google Pigeon algorithm, Google Pigeon. And there is the blog post, and we'll of course have the link to this in the show notes as well. But basically, what this means is that there's been some changes around local SEO. So if you are ranking others for local SEO, or if you yourself have a brick and mortar business, and like a restaurant, coffee shop, something like that, maybe a car mechanic, and you are trying to rank your own site, it's very important that you use things like My Business, so google.com/mybusiness, which is basically what replaced Google Places, and that you fill this stuff out properly. Because now with Google Pigeon, they're rewarding all those people who have done that properly, and you're starting to see when you do searches in Maps, those things are starting to come through on Google Maps. So very important changes that have come through. Specifically, this Pigeon algorithm update actually really just relates to local SEO more than anything right now, but it has changed rankings for local SEO. So if you are focused on local SEO, if you do have a brick and mortar business, you want to make sure that you're ranking the same way that you were before. And again, if you're not using Pages, Google Places and the My Business section for Google, you got to make sure you jump on that. Next up, and this was just an update for Google Analytics. What you're looking at here is the back end. This would be the admin panel where you go to change your view, for those of you who are familiar. So right in the little view settings where you change your views, there is now a section where you can get rid of bots. Now, you might not have this. Some of our accounts have this, some of them don't. So it's rolling out right now, but it's bot filtering. This is important because, and you've probably seen this if you used analytics at all, where all of a sudden you have like 10,000 visits that come from China in 3 days and you have no idea why. And there's this huge swarm of bots, of bot traffic that comes through. Well, what will happen is you can actually filter those out. So now when Google comes through and crawls your pages and you show time on pages 0 seconds because the bot hits it so quickly that it actually registers as a visit, but it doesn't register as any engagement, you can filter all that stuff out. So in that way, it doesn't affect your analytics and your decisions anymore as far as like average time on page, stuff like that. So that's what bot filtering is. And this is, again, within the last week or two, it was recently announced with Google Analytics. It is rolling out to different Google Analytics accounts. So all you need to do is go to your admin and then into your particular view that you're using for Google Analytics, then go to view settings and then click where it says bot filtering, or at least that's where it will be there if it does exist. Okay, so with that brings us to the end to digital marketing this week. So again, visit us at seriousnessofmarketing.com. You can see us there and engage the blog posts, share those with everybody because that helps us with SEO, as we all learned today. Thanks again for joining us this week, and we will see you next week.